Hey there, everyone. It's Matt from Casually Crafted 3D, and finally, I'm here with the long awaited IA-27 Ghost from Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. So, this was the community poll that I did on what the next requested model was, and this one absolutely by far skyrocketed to the top as the most requested. So this took me quite a while to finish. These guys have some really weird articulation, which is fitting for anything with, from the Rubicon Institute. But they are finished. They are done. So obviously we have three different variants from the three different kinds that you see in the game. Right up front here is the pulse shield variant. They're usually like the boss versions. Coming around right now is the more melee regular ECM variant with just the laser whip module on the one arm, and then we have the more common variant, otherwise known as the annoying as shit variant, the laser cannon ones, the ones that snipe and give you the constant bleep bleeps, followed by pain. So yeah, so I mean these guys are huge. They're massive. These are exact one-to-one scale, how they're supposed to be compared to like ACs and MTs. So they are 1/72nd scale. So they are the exact same scale as the new 30-minute mission model kits, which I unfortunately still do not have mine in hand. Hopefully, I'll be getting mine soon so I can show you proper comparisons next to the official kits. But these were created with the intent of being put next to the 30-minute mission kits. All right, and starting off with the melee variant, really the only differences with this guy is instead of having a weapon arm, you're going to have the just like a standard arm on the one side, and you're going to have the laser whip section on the other arm. And you can actually take these laser whips and put them in either side, because the arms are universal. But there's also going to be a whole bunch of different hand options. So I currently have him with the more expressive splayed open hands, but apologies, the turntable died on me, so I had to plug it in. But you're gonna have, along with these more expressive hands, there are other hand options. Like this one is gonna be the more relaxed hand, and then we have a balled fist hand. So you have different options for all of those. Along with the actual whip part here, I'll show real quick. So the whip, you're actually going to be able to take this part, which this is the deactivated one. You can just twist and pull this right out. Darn, the pin got stuck. So the deactivated one you can remove, and then you have a little hole here with they're just right size to take. So I made it so you can use regular filament. I'm using PETG, but you can probably use whatever type of filament, so long as it's 1.75 millimeter. But you just take a segment of this and you can run it through all of these different little, I don't even know what these would be called, but they're basically like little stabilizers or something that you see in the game. But you take a segment of this, and then I have the activated version that you can put that in. So you can just insert that right into that hole. I'm sorry, my kitten is playing with her toys in the background. And there you go. There's the activated. It's called a whip, but it's definitely more of a flail. But you can totally do that. All right, and here is the laser cannon variant. So this one basically just has an entirely different arm unit. And I have made these like swappable kind of. So you'll be able to choose what type of arm part you want. So basically the upper arm is going to be different on both of the weapon arms. And I'll go over this, or I might have, depending on where I put it in the video, the articulation points for this, because for the laser cannon and the plasma cannon on the other variant, it does have a rotational axis here in the middle, and that has a little swivel in this little joint here, so that you can get some more dynamic poses. But yeah, that's really the only difference with this guy. You're just you're not going to have the laser whip in the back, but you know, that's up to you if you want to put that on there or not. But this is the game accurate version of the sniper. All right, and here's what I personally think is the coolest variant, the pulse shield variant. So this one is very, very different from all the others. So obviously you got a big old different weapon, this huge plasma cannon on the one arm. You do have the laser whip on one side. The shoulder parts up here are entirely different. The head, if you want to call it that, is totally different. You have generators attached on the back of the abdomen and an entirely different butt plate here. And it has a little canister that attaches to the underside of the crotch here. And then the ECM pods are just entirely replaced by different generator parts that are up here on either side of that dorsal fin. So there's quite a lot of difference between this one and the other two variants. So that is the commander variant, or the pulse shield variant. Okay, and let's take a quick look at articulation. So articulation is going to be the same on all the variants, including the weapon arm variants. But I guess I'll start here. So the hands, you're going to have different options for all the hands. They are much like my other kits, just on posts. So they will just slot in, and you'll be able to swap those with whatever version that you want. So you got a 360-degree rotation there for that. And for up on the elbow here, so this thing has a lot of range on this elbow, so you can actually bend like all the way back if you wanted to, but you can bend only about 90 degrees forwards just because of the design limitation. So I think that's plenty, but you got another articulation point here. So this is like, the shoulders are very weird. If you were following me on social, you know that this is what I struggle with the most. But you have a joint right here on this pin, which allows you to get about that far forwards and about that far back. And then the actual kind of like clip joint here is attached to a little locking pin here that's actually attached to this little disc here. So this, you can get 360 degree rotation there. So that will be able to get you a good range of movement. There's another joint up here, and this is actually the part that you would take off and swap out if you wanted to change arms. If you ended up getting, if you wanted to just swap these in and out. So it rotates actually up here. So this whole section here, and might have to lift this up, this whole section here can pivot about 180 degrees back and forth. And obviously that part is attached there, So you can get some pretty dynamic poses out of that. And then it has an additional little, I can see if I can show you here. So there's an additional swivel that allows this whole thing to pivot back and forth on that joint. So you can get all kinds of poses out of that for the arms. And same thing on the other side. Now with the weapon variants, still same articulation up here at the shoulder, but here there is a swivel joint right there that allows you to kind of move this in and out. And then on both the plasma gun variant and the laser gun variant, this whole thing here moves independently from here, if I can do it. So this whole thing rotates right there. So you can pose that however you'd like. All right. So obviously back here on the back, since these are moving around, these can pivot up and down. You can move those however you want to. The head itself doesn't like move up and down or anything, but it rotates here. So you can turn this in whatever way that you want. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull that off so I can show you the different articulation points here. So these posts here are movable, so you can move the shoulder sections forward or back on kind of like that collarbone part. And then the whole torso section here can move on this joint. Let me get the arm out of the way. Right there. So the whole thing can move forward and back for posing. And then you have a rotation right here at the waist, which is 360 degrees, so you can move that however you'd like. The thrusters back here are stationary, so you can't move those. And then the waist, or the hips here, are on ball joints, so ball joints do what ball joints do. You can move those all over the place because you got a lot of clearance here. And then as far as the legs, this is where it started to get really complicated as far as the design. So you only have one joint here. So it goes about that far forwards, and it goes way back on that joint right there. So quite a bit of movement there. So the legs, or the feet anyways, are very limited. And I'll explain why. So you're going to have a joint up here to allow you to move this in whatever way you want. It's going to be a little ball joint. And then there's a little ball joint down here for the little toe. Because this is a very large model and it is very top heavy, these tiny little thin feet just really do not hold this weight very well. So I have this set as ball joints here and here so that you can move this into whatever pose that you would like it to be in. And then I highly suggest that you glue these into place, because this, I actually had one of the reasons why it took me so long to get these out is because I had a prototype before where I did not glue those in place, and I went and sat it on a shelf that was pretty high, and over time it just right off the shelf and just exploded like a hand grenade. So I would definitely advise that you glue these in place, or you either put a lot of extra like Elmer's glue or something in there to tighten these up the best that you can. But I definitely suggest that you glue the feet into whatever position that you want, because once they're glued in place, they're pretty stable. Well, as he starts to fall backwards on the knee, but that is much like how I had to with the MT the Boss MT with the waist section. I gave you the articulation to do what you want with, so you have the option, but I am suggesting that you glue them. Just because the last thing I want to happen to you is what happened to me, and have one careening off a shelf and exploding. So let's see some size comparisons with some of the different models that I've made. So first and foremost, I just want to show how big these guys are, because it might be deceptive seeing them in hand. But if you have previously purchased my Boss MT model, there it is. So they are quite a bit larger than just the regular bipedal MTs. But there's the bipedal MT. And of course, if I show that, I have to show the guard mech. So there it is next to a guard mech. And then we have one of my helicopter models. And why not? Here we have a combat drone model. So there we are. There is the scale. Since this thing is just so nuts that it keeps running around and wanting to bother me while filming my video, along with that one, here's your cat tax. You're welcome. And there we have it. There's all the ghosts. And of course, as always, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much. So you can acquire these in 2 different ways on all of my different platforms. So the way that I'm going to have to end up selling these guys, in as far as the physical copies, is going to be, it's going to be 2 different kits. So the Pulse Shield variant is going to be its own thing, and then the 2 ECM variants are going to be 1 kit. So the reason I'm going to do that is because there are so many different parts for this version, for the Pulse Shield variant, as comparison to the other ones, that it really wouldn't be fair to increase the price of everything and then have you with just a ton of spare parts that you're not going to use just because you want to make one particular version. So I'm going to have it so you can make the sniper version and the melee version as 1 kit, just because it's not that many different parts, and then the Pulse Shield variant is going to be its own. So then you don't have a bunch of stuff laying around. So if you want to acquire a physical kit of these, you can either send me a message on all of my socials, and you can just support me directly that way. Or they will, of course, be available on my Etsy shop, so you can get them there. And I will also put an eBay link. So links to those will be in the description, along with if you own a 3D printer and you would like to try to print these out yourself, you can get the files down at the Colts link down below. So also, if you like this kind of stuff, please give me a follow. I'll put my link tree in the description so you can get to all of my socials. Make sure to like those. I post polls every once in a while, so that people can pick which model I will be making next. And you can also just keep an eye on updates down there. Also, please like and subscribe, comment on the video, and just watch out for any upcoming things. I believe that the next poll winner was the Toy Box MT from RAD. So hopefully you'll be seeing updates on that soon, or at least something. I've gotten a little bit of modeling done, not much, but yeah, but I really appreciate you watching this far in the video, and I'll see you next time.